Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're here checking out Ride 5 for the first time, and I'll be giving you my first impressions. But before I actually get into the video, I do want to give a big shout out to Premier Comms for providing me with an early access code for the game that's allowed me to get the video up this early for you guys. I really do appreciate it, and honestly I'm really looking forward to checking out the game because it's been 3 years now since Ride 4 release. There's a lot of anticipation that's built up, so without any further ado, let's get into it. So first thing we're presented with is a difficulty selection, and of course we are going to go for the extreme setting. We're going to go with the hardest that we can, no assists, 100% AI, obviously I assume it'll go up to 120. We've got quite aggressive AI as well, tyre wear on, collisions on, we've got to go with all that. And that's going to take us to a rider creation screen, so we've got two riders to choose from. We'll choose the male rider of course, and then I think we'll get chucked straight into the tutorial.
It all starts days before, when you're still home. You train, you prepare, you try not to think about it, and yet you think about it all the time. Then you get to the track. You get to know the place. It's always different, yet so familiar all around the world. The tracks, the pits, busy people everywhere. You check the bike, clean some specks off the windscreen. The bike sits there like you, in apparent idleness, with an urge inside to hit the road. Engines start. The noise. The smell you know so well. A mix of gasoline, exhaust and rubber. Butterflies in your stomach. A wave of the hand. Rev it up. It's time to ride. This place is amazing. A new racetrack. 3 variants. A sequence of corners, slopes, challenging braking points. All built from scratch in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And no expense spared. This is not a racetrack. This is a rider's dream. Let's play with this new toy.
So here we are then, we seem to be put straight into a tutorial at one of the new circuits for Ride 5. Of course we did see this one in some of the trailers. I believe by the sounds of it then it is a fantasy circuit and not a real life one. Now, I don't know what we're going to actually have to do. I think it's to sort of introduce us to the controls here, so I think we'll just have to follow the prompts. And my controls aren't quite set up how I like them so far, so we might struggle a little bit. I always swap my rear brake and my downshift buttons for these games, so I'll see if I can actually change that now. As you can see, we're going miles off the circuits, that's why I decided to do it. All alright, looks like we are... Yeah, we can use a rewind, we may as well use... Wow, that's fast. That is really fast. It goes so quick. Thought we may as well use a rewind. There's no point just going straight on at that corner. Well, it's now telling us that we can rewind time, but we've already done it. Bike feels quite strange, must be said. It's very slow to actually turn into the corners, and we have actually had a crash, so we'll do another rewind. But I came off basically playing MotoGP 23 just before this, so I guess I'm still used to that game. But the bike, it feels very slow to pick up and change direction. It almost feels like maybe there's an assist like stopping us, even though I've got no assists on. It feels like there's an assist stopping me from actually turning in, and we've gone straight on again, so this is not going very well so far. It was going alright the first few corners, but then we've had quite a few crashes. I don't know why it keeps telling me to rewind, because we've done it. So my first impression is that the brakes are quite weak, which I guess, again, makes... Well, I was going to say it makes sense, but actually I just kept playing the MotoGP game on the Moto3 bikes, so they don't have carbon brakes, so the brakes do feel quite weak on this game so far. The bikes don't turn in much, there's not much natural turning. The gyroscopic effect doesn't seem to be there like it is in MotoGP 23, where the bike forces itself upright as soon as you touch the throttle.
Turn 1 looks easy, but there's room to do more. Turn 3 calls for a late apex, a calculated loss to open throttle with better traction. The braking point before turn 7 gives you a chill down the spine. Whoever designed this knows how to keep a rider on their toes. With a fast bike, it's a hell of a ride, even alone. Just imagine racing here.
So here we are then, we've been put into a head-to-head challenge straight away, so we're sort of straight into some events here, and we'll win one of these 2 bikes, depending on... Well, actually, just by taking part, it said. So if we win, we get a Suzuki RGV 250, and if we lose, we get a TZR 250R Yamaha. So we're both on the same BMW, the M1000RR.
A track day alone is one thing. A head-to-head challenge is another. There's no such thing as a friendly race. Racing is racing. And when there's just two of you on the track, one thing is clear. There's going to be one winner and one loser. Races are not won at turn 1. Don't push too hard. Smooth and rounded. Easy on the tires. If you attack too hard, you'll end up in the gravel. It's easy to overdo everything. It's easy to lose your breaking point, your references. Concentrate. Focus. This is what you live for. When the red lights go off and the race begins.
I must say the presentation is very nice, the way we've sort of got all these cutscenes. But here we are now, that we're properly on the grid against this other guy, equal machinery. Of course, we have actually got street tyres on, which I didn't realise before, so that's probably why we're struggling on the brakes a little bit. But lights out, away we go. We've actually had a good start off the line there. But of course, we have got to be careful, because we don't really know the track very well. As we did the couple of laps there in the tutorial. Well, not the tutorial, that's just kind of doing a lap or two. And I think that's why the rewind thing didn't disappear, because it was just waiting for me to cross the line. We've got a bit wide there, but we have just about done it. It's actually a 3-lap race, apparently. We've been overtaken, though. We've lost the lead. So Kayani has overtaken us, and he's gapped us a fair bit there, so that's not ideal. And the bike, I can't get it to stop and turn in. It just doesn't respond. It's very unresponsive. So I decided to restart it, because we basically just ran off into the gravel again, but really struggling with the physics here. The bikes don't feel that great, I must say. Here we are then, waiting for the lights to go here, and this time we haven't had the good start, so he's actually jumped us off the line, so that's even worse. Because I think before, the only thing that was carrying me really was the advantage. Although at least maybe I could use him as a gauge for the braking. So we go around the outside into turn 1. There's just not much. There's not much front end there. You can't really. The bike just really understeers. It doesn't want to turn into the corner. I mean, like I said, to be fair, we are on sort of cut tyres, more like street tyres, and we've just been overtaken again by him. Electronics feel rather intrusive as well, and we're closing up to a lot there. Yeah, there's not much bottom end torque, it must be said, at the bottom end of first gear, trying to get it to power out. Right, what can we do with the electronic settings then? So we've got TC on 4, we could probably turn that down a few steps, but it's difficult to try to do that whilst we're racing. Okay, yeah, that is definitely better, it's definitely a bit more responsive at the bottom end now, so see if we can catch him up with that a little bit lower. So we've done a lap there, he's pulled on us a little bit, but if we try to use him as a reference for the braking, we can maybe gain a little bit back on him. I'm definitely not going to win this challenge because the bike just doesn't turn. It's just costing me so much. I don't know where he's going. He's going pretty far over there. We can catch him through some turns, but it's just not enough. And we're going to go into the gravel here anyway. To be honest, I'm not going to bother restarting at this point. We're just going to accept a loss because, to be honest, I just want to get off this bike. I want to get onto a set of slicks because I don't know if it's the tyres or what. I mean, obviously, we're on a street spec bike. It's got the lights, the mirrors on it, and stuff like that. Obviously, it is a super bike. It's a M1000RR, but just feels horrendous. So I really hope this is the tyres and not the actual base physics because the bike is just so lazy. There's nothing to it. The bottom end torque is alright now that I've sort of got it sorted. Out the last corner then. He is going to win it by 2 seconds. I don't know if we actually managed to gain a little bit back on him there, but yeah, that was, yeah, it wasn't great. But we did still get a Yamaha TZR250R from 1994, so that's always lovely to get, and I'm sure that'll be the first bike that we have to use in the career mode events. So with all those tutorials out of the way then, we're finally here into the main menu. It was trying to sort of force me to go into the career mode, but we'll do that in a video later on. We'll start off the career mode properly, but since this is my first impressions, I do want to just do another race as well. Just see what the physics are like on a different bike and different tyres, because of course we struggle quite a bit there, and then also maybe on a track that we know a bit more, and also just to see what tracks are even in the game, because I'm not actually sure exactly which ones there are. So if we start all the way over here then, on the far left in the America section, we've got Interlagos up first. Of course, that was in Ride 4, a circuit from there. Canadian Tire, same story, again from Ride 4, and it's a very good circuit. We've got Blue Wave Circuit, a new circuit to Ride 5. Of course, that's what we've just been playing in the tutorial, or at least one of the variants, but there is actually 3 different layouts of this one. Daytona, again, returning from Ride 4. We've got Laguna Seca, Road America, Road Atlanta, Sonoma Raceway. I think that might be new, but again, I'm not 100% sure. Got Utah Motorsports Campus. I believe that's the old Salt Lake City circuit. And then VIR. So quite a few tracks I actually do know. In fact, I pretty much know all of them in that Americas region. I don't know again if VIR was in Ride 4, but I don't believe it was, but I could be mistaken. Moving on to the European section, we've got French Riviera, of course, a Ride staple that's been in every single one. So of course that makes its return again. We've got Le Mans, pretty sure it's due to the Ride series, but of course a circuit very familiar with from the MotoGP games. Magny-Cours, again, of course that's been in all the Ride games previously. Nürburgring Nordschleife, again, same story. Nürburgring GP, so both the Nürburgrings making a return. Then we seem to have all the MSV tracks. We've got Brands Hatch, Cadwell Park, Donington Park, Oulton Park, and Snetterton. I believe they were all in the previous entry. Then we've got some road races. We've got Southern 100, Northwest 200, and the Ulster Grand Prix. Again, they were all in Ride 4. Imola, that was in Ride 4, and Monza as well. Mugello, of course, that made its debut in Ride 4. On to Portimao, of course, that was in the previous... In fact, I think that's been in all of them, but again, I'm not sure. It's been in the previous ones. Then we've got Almeria, that wasn't in Ride 4, so that's new to this game, although I believe it was in Ride 2 back in the day. Then we've got the Andalusia circuit, which is a circuit, a part of the same complex, and then the Iberia one is the two of them together if you look at the map there. So those three are all part of the sort of Almeria complex, but are technically 3 different circuits, but not different variants of Almeria, if that makes any sense. And then, of course, we've got Valencia, which I believe was a DLC track for Ride 4, so again, is returning from the previous one, but of course if you didn't buy the DLC it will be new to you. Then onto the Asia-Africa section, so we've got Autopolis. I do know for a fact that that one is definitely a new circuit to here. Kanto Temples, similar to French Riviera, a ride staple that's been in every single ride game. Again, I don't actually know if this is a real one. I believe that they're both made up, but I could be wrong on that one. Got Okayama, we've got Sugo, it's a classic. Suzuka, again, another classic. Scuba, that was in the previous one. And then Kyalami, which I believe, again, was also a DLC track, but it definitely was in Ride 4. So then, for this race, I think I'm going to go to a circuit that I do know very well. We're going to go to Donington Park, but I'm going to change it up very slightly because we are going to go with the national layout. And then in terms of bike, I'm just going to look through the bike selection and see if I find anything that chooses my fancy. So I think we're actually going to go with an R6 here, but a racing modified version, just so that we get those slick tyres and a bit of a middleweight bike rather than something as big. So then we've got the R6 at the Donington National Circuit. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I'll see you down on the grid. So here we are then, down on the grid at the back here at Donington. What can we do on this R6? There's some lights on there at the top, waiting for them to go out. Lights out and away we go. And the start hasn't been too good. We've lost a little bit of time to the Canadian on the same road as us. We've got down towards the first corner. A couple of AI look like they're going quite slow, probably on some slightly older bikes, because it does seem like they're not all just sort of modern day 600s, kind of like how I expected. I think it must be sort of on the performance level. Looks like we've probably got some 250s, is that? Or some 2-stroke 250s, and whoa, we had someone bashed across the front of us there. The AI are on the highest sort of aggressivity level, so that probably would be why someone got absolutely sent there at Credit Curse. But either way, we've got up into P16. Can we try and take P15 through Starkey's Bridge? Oh, there we go. Up into P14 now. Charles Cooper in front of us. And Rupert Gray, I think, ahead of him. We've had a bit of contact with the AI again there. But the AI just sort of just rode into us. And that's good because I've put them on an aggressive setting. Obviously, that's something that's migrated across from GP23. And as we got the inside into Coppit. Again, apologies for the contact. Just trying to find my way through here. We've got Carolina Rack in front of us. Then Isaac Burns. So it's nice to see a sort of mixture of the female and the male riders in the race. Let's hit the brakes for the Robert Chicane. You've got to make sure that you don't go over to the right hand side of the track on instinct like you would for the Grand Prix layout. Of course, that's the one that you usually play most of the time in games. It's very rare that you play the national layout, which is why I decided to give it a go here. And we've got somebody in the slipstream here, someone with an NHK helmet there. And we've got sort of graphics on the left hand side telling us our position. And we got to P10 around the outside into turn 1. So it's been a very good first lap from the back of the grid up to 10th. So from 20th to 10th. A very, very good start. So we've got Isaac Burns still in front of us. And we've got a Finnish rider, Konsta Koskine, I believe that's how it'd be pronounced. So we're going to try and go around the outside with the old hairpin. Not going to quite work to open up the power as much as we can. We're probably in too low of a gear there because we kind of hampered ourselves. And oh, yep, that's kind of to be expected. Let's use a rewind there because that was a bit of a silly thing to do. I clipped the curb there at Starkey's. And yeah, I mean, what did I really expect? I've done it again, although this time I've managed to stay on the bike. I always kind of try and get near it, but obviously you don't want to actually hit it. And we got the inside into McLean's. Got the inside of Isaac Burns. He hits us at the back a little bit, pushes us onto the curb. We're stuck on the curb, so there you go. We've got typically milestone curbs there. The bike was bouncing all over that one, and it sort of stuck to it, so it's difficult to actually get off. There we go then. Out of Coppice, down towards the Robert Chicane. Can we try and pass Isaac on the brakes? Obviously, I've been struggling a lot on the brakes, so hopefully I don't go in too hot into the chicane. The rear end is stepping out a bit, trying not to turn in too early. And to be fair, we've actually done a decent job of the chicane. So up into P9 now, so it is the Finnish rider ahead of us. Not too much progress on that second lap. But there you go, you're not going to be amazing on all of them. We're 3.5 seconds off the race leader, Chester Anderson. Luke Fox in second, and then ZAI. I don't know how that would be pronounced. A Chinese rider in third position. I guess maybe it's like like Iagora. potentially. But we've been bashed out the way then by Isaac Burns. Somebody else trying to bash us out the way as well. I mean, the AI, like I said, on the highest aggressive... Wow, I made him fold the front then. I turned in on him a bit there. There was a bit of contact at the old hairpin. And his front was completely folded. Somehow he stayed on the bike. I cannot believe that one. And now they're on the inside again. I'll tell you what, actually, the AI, not too bad. Because, yes, people can argue the AI are very aggressive, especially in the MotoGP games. But we've set the AI to be aggressive here. So that's kind of what I want. So actually, to be fair, the AI seem pretty good so far. And obviously, this is only on level 100 as well. Of course, this is literally my first race on the game, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to sort of get up to speed. So potentially, like, I will be on a higher AI difficulty very soon. But they seem relatively quick, which is good. Although, to be fair, to jump straight on 100 difficulty these days doesn't bode too well. But there you go, the 9th place in our first race at Donington Park. I actually thought we were still lap 2. I don't know why. I was expecting another lap, but of course, there was another one. Fast lap of the race was to Luke Fox, a 107.7. So we were a decent way off that. We were similar pace to the rider behind, but the riders ahead definitely were quicker there in the 108s, whereas everybody behind us seemed to be in the 109s. But there you go then. That is our first race on Ride 5, and I guess that brings to an end our first impression. So the bike definitely felt a lot better on those slick tyres compared to the tyres that we used previously. The street tyres with a fully street spec bike for that tutorial. So I was struggling a lot with the brakes there. I was struggling a lot with the grip, and probably that was just down to the street tyres just not being really up to scratch to obviously race around a circuit. I obviously did realise that at the time, but I had tried the slick, so I didn't have anything to compare them to. So in the future, obviously, whatever bike I get, I'll always probably upgrade it to have slicks on, because obviously the road tyres don't seem to be too good, and they're going to hamper me quite a lot. But hopefully you did enjoy that one. If you are new to the channel, please do like the video and subscribe. There'll be plenty more Ride 5 content, MotoGP content, GP bikes, lots of bike racing game content. So if you like Ride 5, those are the kind of games that you do enjoy. So please do like the video and subscribe. It really helps me out. And of course, then you get all that content. So it is a bit of a win-win. I'll be back later today with the first part of our Ride 5 career mode. So like I said, do stick around for that one. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe. And I shall see you in the next one.